Avinash Ramesh joins us, Managing Director and CEO with Zaggle. Now, it's a new listing, and post-listing, it's done rather well for itself. So, Avinash, how would you describe your company? I mean, the stock's gone up. It's been a lukewarm listing, but a great follow-up. A lot of HN investors whom markets respect, they bought into your stock now, according to bulk deals. How would you describe your company? I mean, are you a fintech? Are you a extension of HR? For giving different services. What is Zaggle?
Good morning, Nikunj. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Appreciate it. So we are a SaaS fintech. We are at the intersection of SaaS and fintech, digitizing spends to drive growth and unlock value. So it's a combination of software and fintech. The whole idea is that the corporates today, enterprise corporates, mid-market corporates, are really craving for a single platform, single solution with a single login, single payment instrument. The idea is to simplify their life, to bring more transparency, to bring more efficiency, and to make it easier for employees, for users to be able to use the platform.
You know, the one thing that the market is a little concerned about, Avinash, and please address this, that while you are uniquely positioned when it comes to fintech, there is a major dependency on third parties. Do you plan to lower this dependence in the near future?
The third parties that you're possibly referring to are partner banks. Today, we work with a whole host of banks. We just signed up a partnership with Bank of Baroda. We work with Yes Bank, we work with IndusInd Bank. In total, we work with 10 banks, DBS and ICICI Bank. And what we look at it as a great way of growing the reach, growing the ecosystem. So we are looking to broad base our partnerships with banks, and that's how we view it. It's a symbiotic relationship. We bring tremendous value to the banks through our software platform. As you can see in the Bank of Baroda partnership, for every corporate credit card that the bank issues and the Zaggle Spend Analytics platform is taken by the corporate, we earn a certain percentage of revenue. So, and this is a crying need of corporates. They want a spend analytics platform to go with their corporate credit cards, purchase cards, to understand where the money is being actually spent, why is it being spent, who has approved it, to have that whole 9 yards covered on a single platform. That's what our corporate customers like Tata Steel, Greenply, Aon, Kiran and Adani Group, we work with a whole host of 2,400 plus enterprise and mid-market customers. And that's the need that we are trying to address here.
So Avinash, who's your nearest competition? Whom would you say you're competing with or competing against in the market?
In India, there's no like-for-like competition if you look at it. But there are pockets where there are companies who compete with us. In different spaces, in employee benefits, we have companies like Sodexo. In expense management, on the pure software side, we see SAP Concur competing with us. There are different players who provide parts of the solution that we provide. In our understanding, there's nobody who has a comprehensive solution for companies where their employee expenses, employee benefits, employee rewards, channel incentives, vendor payments, all of this is covered 360-degree through a platform and a payment instrument.
Avinash, take us through your overall cash flow, because I understand that there's been a total negative cash flow that has been clocked in. How do you plan to stem that plus the decline in your profitability that we've seen in the recent years?
So it's a one-off. If you look at our cash flow last year, overall last 4 years we've been PAT positive, which is a rarity for a fintech and a SaaS fintech company. Our last year, if you look at our numbers, some of those numbers were a little suppressed because we had ESOP costs, which we announced last September. So kicked in last year. And also we invested heavily in building our corporate credit card business. And those expenses were fully expensed out. Those costs were fully expensed out. So what that meant was that we took a little bit of an impact last year. But it was a conscious call to spread wealth to all our employees, and we made it a point to offer ESOPs to every employee who was on our payroll at that time. And it was a conscious call. And the credit card investment also is an investment that we made very clearly to be able to grow the business to the future.
What we have are the declared numbers for FY23. That is like history from a market standpoint, because that's the time you went public. 2 quarters of this calendar year are done for FY24. And the way markets would look at a company like Zaggle, because you're a SaaS fintech company, is that markets will soon start talking about FY25 and FY26. So give us a sense that from 30 crore to 100 crore, how soon you will reach. Where do you think you see yourself in 3 to 4 years? Because that's the way how markets would look at a company like you. FY23, sir, is history now, and nobody likes history. It's about understanding future.
Great point, Nikunj. I think the whole idea is, if you look at where the space is, right, there are two very strong secular trends which are helping us. One is that India is at the forefront of fintech, and we benefit from that in a big way. The other is the push to digitize and to be more compliant. So if you look at our platform, let's say an employee travels from Mumbai to Delhi, and she incurs expenses, flights, food, taxi. All these bills are uploaded on the Zaggle app on the go. And the approvals are given by the approver on the go. And all this information stays on the cloud for many, many years, accessible for any internal audits, external audits, any inquiries, etc. Right? So it really brings in tremendous transparency, prevents leakage, reduces manpower that's required on the accounting finance team side. And that really is a very strong trend across board. And that's something which we really are banking on. And we also see opportunities to take the platform global in the coming years. That's something that's there in our plans. And we've alluded to that in the RHP as well. So that's where we see the trend of digitization, the trend of reducing leakage, reducing frauds, bringing more transparency is a global phenomenon. And of course, India is at the forefront of this.
Okay, fair enough. What about your overall debt equity ratio? What does that stand at currently, and what are the plans to lower it?
See, some of the capital that we've raised is to reduce the debt. And in the coming years, we will look to manage our debt carefully and smartly. You got to appreciate that largely the company over the course of 11, 12 years was built with very little equity capital, and whatever capital was infused, some of it was debt, right, to grow the business. So from a fintech or a SaaS fintech perspective, it's fairly atypical to have such low amount of investment at this scale. And so we have some debt in our books, which we will retire in the course of the future. Right?
So what would be the projected growth for next 3 years, considering if today is the starting point, or if FY24 is the starting point, what could be the next 3 year projected growth according to?
I would refrain from making forward-looking statements here, but if you look at our growth historically, and that's been something with very little capital that we have had so far, you can just take a stab or a guess as to how those numbers will look with the capital that's come in, about 490 crores of primary that's come into the business. So far, very little capital had come in, about $2 million. And that's what we were able to achieve over these years with just that equity capital. So we are very bullish about both our prospects in terms of growth, as well as in terms of what the space we are operating in.
Great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for taking the time out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, that's the word coming in from Zaggle. Let's